Hello everyone, thank you for joining this session. In this Bitcoin club, usually we talk about current hash rate, ASIC hardware, and if you want to do solo mining, how you can do that. So in this Bitcoin mining club, which happens every week on Tuesdays, and in that we cover a real pathway, even if you are a developer, even if you are a operator and just want to explore about mining, because if you believe in Bitcoin mining is the main pillar of the Bitcoin, or I would say one of the important pillar of the Bitcoin. So in this Bitcoin mining club, we cover all the basics about Bitcoin mining so you understand how actually mining works. And after that, we also try to cover the whole pathways. Let us suppose you want to contribute or you want to run your own node, you want to do solo mining, wants to earn the reward. All these things we will try to cover so you can be also part of this global mining industry. So this is the agenda of this Bitcoin mining club. Even if you will be having any doubts or anything, we also have a mining group here. If my screen is visible, you might be able to see it here. So here, if you have any doubts or if there is any update about Bitcoin mining, I usually post it here. And if you have any doubts, you can always post it here. And whenever anyone would be available, we will try to help you or try to uh, reply you back. Okay. So yes, if anyone has any queries regarding this mining club, because I have seen many of the new people have joined, they can ask. Otherwise, we will start the session and I will try to make sure that I will be covering all those basics so the new member will also able to understand what I'm going to explain it in the future. So yeah, before starting the session, if anyone has any query, anything regarding this mining club, feel free to ask. If no, we can move ahead. Sure. So in today's session, uh, we will be moving a step back and we will be discussing more about the Bitcoin block history and we will analyze all the blocks. So let us suppose you want to see how many blocks has been mined. There is a website, mempool.space. You can go there. In that, you will see all the blocks which has been mined. So till now, 946061, that many blocks has been already mined. And this mining, if you started from, that would be in 2009 up to April 2026. That many blocks has been already mined. If you are seeing what are the blocks will get mined, these are the current ongoing transaction which is currently on the mempool. You can see in the real time here, okay? And if you want to see which one has mined this block, so the name you will find it here. Like Spider Pool is a mining. So there are a mining firm or companies who is also full-time doing the mining, and there are some solo miners as well. So if you want to see some of the solo mining, we have discussed in our previous session. In that, let us suppose if you want to see this 943411 block, that has been mined by a solo miner, just like an individual miner who don't have so many big machines, and he was able to mine with a smaller terahash. Okay, so if you want to see what is this in this block, you can go there, click on it. You can see the hash, at what time, the size, how much fee got collected, all those things you will able to see it, and the rewards went to this, and all those information you will able to see it here. Okay, and recently you saw while we are discussing just now, another block got mined and Brains Pool have mined this block just now. Okay, so now moving back, and before going and deep dive about all those blocks which has been already mined, I want to cover a basic how maybe not in detail, but at least everyone will understand the things. So in that case, I will just open a notepad and give me a second. Okay, one second. Sure. So if you want to mine a block in a technical way, how, because if you are new, you don't know how do you mine a block. That is always a question. If it is visible, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just trying to increase the font size so everyone would able to see it. So yes, how do you mine a block? So maybe uh, we are starting by constructing a block header for a block, and there is another term which is nonce. Nonce is nothing but number only used once. Okay, so you will be having block header, you will be having transaction, all those things, and you will pass these things with hash 256, and you will get 64 bytes of data. That is the hash which you will be getting. And if you will come here, and I will again go, why I'm going for mempool.squeeze, because this is a very beautiful website and you can see all those information. Like if you want to see the current transaction fees, what you have to pay if you just need to make the transaction. So which is a low priority, you have to pay 0.2 sats per virtual bytes. For medium priority is 0.5 and this one set. Okay, and here if you will see, there is a difficulty adjustment which is saying that we are mining a block in roughly in 10 minutes, and if we a little bit faster. Okay, so that's why maybe difficulty may increase in some time, and that will be in 10 days duration roughly. So this is a difficulty adjustment, and if you will click here, you will find halving. So how many blocks is remaining for next halving? So next halving will come approx April 2028, which is around 2 years. Okay, so these things you will able to see, and the new subsidy would be 1.563 BTC. That would be the Bitcoin reward you will get. In this case, the Brains pool has mined this block 4 minutes ago. So Brains pool will be receiving the Bitcoin reward. Okay. Along with that, they will also receive the transaction fees, which collected by all the transactions. So both the things will be received by the pool or the solo miner who mined the block. Now I will move back. So we need, for a simple way, like you will be having a block header, you will be using some nonce, and maybe the nonce will be a number which is 32-bit integer. So in that case, if you, or if I'm saying 32-bit, that means 4 byte. Okay, so there is a nonce which you keep changing it. So maybe you are starting with 000. Let us suppose that is 1 byte. I'm just writing it this way. Then you will keep increasing this, and there will always be a difficulty, right? So once you will come up with the hash, which is below the difficulty level, okay, then that will not be treated. So that hash should pass the difficulty level. If it is passing, that would be treated as a valid block, and whoever will do this will get the reward. Okay, even if you will click here, and if you click here uh, in the detail, you will see how many transactions got added, and all those things you will be able to see it here. And along with that, the total fees and everything you will be able to see it here. Okay, and how much subsidy plus fees they have received. So Brains Pool received the reward of 3.13 BTC just 6 minutes ago. If any solo miner will able to block to mine a block, they will also receive the same amount. So now I will move here, and you have to keep increasing the nonce, or you will also, now you might be thinking, okay, what is nonce? Every time I'm just saying nonce, nonce, nonce. So nonce is a component. I would say nonce is a component. I hope my uh, uh, this is visible. Otherwise, I have to just increase it. Yeah. So nonce is a critical component of mining process, which you increase. So if you need to create a block header preparation, you need previous block hash, you need Merkle root. Maybe people might be thinking, what is Merkle root? I haven't heard it before. So Merkle root is nothing but all those transactions which you are seeing it here in the block. So these are the transactions which you are seeing in the block. These are the Merkle root. Okay, so Merkle root is nothing but it represents all the transaction in the block, which is called as Merkle root here. Okay, then you will also be having a time stamp. Then you will also be uh, having the norms. Okay, and there will be a difficulty target, which will be keep changing based on how much uh, how how fast you are mining the block, because now you are seeing we are mining the block a little faster, because ideally it should be 10 minutes, but right now average block time is 9.9, so difficulty will definitely gonna increase in just 10 days. And if less miners are contributing, difficulty, I mean, the average block time will get increased. If it is increasing by more than 10 minutes, then the difficulty will get decreased. Okay, so the hash or the 64-bit thing which you will find it out, that has the difficulty. So if you will see here, so if I will just click here. Okay, and you might be seeing this hash. You can copy this also. I can and put it here, and you can see there are so many numbers of zero here in the starting. So these are some difficulty targets they put. Like ideally the difficulty target should be, it should contains that much zero, or it should be more than this. So if your hash is coming, so let us suppose I have I have added the non-zero, and my hash came is this, which has only 30 before that. So this is below the difficulty level. So even this is not a valid block. I have to keep hit and try until or unless the difficulty, or so the block or the hash should be more than the difficulty, the target difficulty. So in this case, it is. That's why it is a valid block here. Okay, so in Bitcoin, we use SHA-256 hashing, and okay, I will see here there are three zeros, right? And let us suppose I just put this, and if I am saying the difficulty level is like there is one another zero got added here. Any idea how much difficulty will get increased? Means what I'm saying here that earlier the difficulty level was only three zeros. Let us suppose now we are seeing four zeros. People might think the difficulty might get increased by twice, but this is wrong because if you are adding just one zero in the hash, that will be 16 times more difficult. Okay, so now you see how many zeros are there. So if one zero, 16 times. Okay, let us suppose now difficulty got increased, and now we have, instead of three, we have four, five zeros. So the difficulty will get increased 16 into 16 times. Okay, now you can imagine if that many zeros are there, how much the difficulty got increased. And because of that, we are not able to mine the block using normal CPU, mobile phone, or GPUs nowadays, because you need a specific chip, which we are using ASICs to do all those hit and trials and find a hash which is more, which is passing the difficulty criteria. Okay, now, okay, before that, if anyone has any doubts which I have covered, maybe for new person it would be little difficult to understand, but in next session I will prepare the whole session for the basics. So I hope in the next session you will able to understand basics in very detail. But why I've covered this, so at least you get a very basic idea. Means this zero, the more zeros has, the more difficulty increase. One zero got added, 16 times difficulty will increase. That is the my agenda. So you can understand this. And what are the things would be there in the block? That was my agenda. So you can understand this. And if anyone has any doubts, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we will move ahead and we will discuss about the article which we want to discuss. So
Okay,
any,
sorry.
yep, yep.
Yes, I do. Okay, thank you so far. So I wanted to find out how you are computing the difficulty. The 16 you are using, I'm a bit confused about how that came about, and probably if you can probably explain more on how that difficulty is being computed.
Yes. Actually, you can you speak a little loudly because I'm not able to hear you fully.
Okay, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I wanted you to run through the difficulty explanation again and how you came about multiplying by 16. I think that's
Okay.
where I yeah.
Okay, so you are okay. So this is little confusing for you. Like if one zero got added, how I'm saying this difficulty will get increased by 16, not just by two times or one times, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in this case, because this is an hexa, okay, so this is a hexadecimal. Think like this. This is a byte, one byte, okay? So if one byte means 4 bits, okay? So If it is zero, it is not zero, it is 0000 because it is byte, not. And if I will represent byte to bits, it should be, sorry, not this. In hexadecimal number, one is representing 4 bits because 2 will be representing 8 bits here. Okay. So this 0 is not 0, this is 4 times 0. Okay. And if you might be aware of the binary system, like if this is 1, this is 2 ki power 1. Okay. The same way, if it is 4, then it would be 2 ki power 4. So that is 16. So that's why it will not just increase by 2 times, it is just increasing by 16 times because the 1 0 which is getting added, that represents 4 bits. That's why it is 16 times more rarer than less, means 1 less 0. You, hope you are able to get it.
Yeah, okay, okay, I understand. So it's based on the binary, like okay,
Yes,
two to
because
raise to
it,
power the
yeah,
okay, okay,
because it would be yes for this thing. Okay. And maybe in the next session, what I'm going to cover is I will cover this in more detail. Like in the next upcoming session, I will cover how the mining blocks will look like, how the nonce will get added, once we are calling hash to 56, how these things are happening and how we are changing the nonce and these things. Maybe I will make a block diagram and explain you better in the next session. But right now the agenda is, so at least you understand, just 1 0 can increase so much complexity. Okay. Now I will be moving here. If anyone has any other doubts, they can ask. Otherwise, we will try to cover this very good article that has been written by Matt, who is the founder of atlasschool.io. I was reading this article last week, and I think you should also able to understand because people wants to start the mining, but they always think that I don't have so much money to buy a very good machine. Will I able to mine it? Because there is always a bigger company who has more money than us. They might buy a better hardware and they will be always mining the block. Maybe I will not get any chance. But this is not correct in the case of Bitcoin mining because here you are not doing a complex mathematical calculation. I'm repeating it again. We are not doing a complex mathematical operation. We are just doing trial and error process. That means we are keep changing the norms and all those parameters and trying to find the number. It may happen that you will find the hash which has these many zeros just in non-zero proc 0000. So in that case, you need not so much power. So this is more like a trial and error process. Yes, maybe they have more chances if someone has a bigger machine because they can do more operation at a time, but that does not mean you will not able to mine the block. If your contribution in the hash rate is very, very small. The very example or very uh, real example is 943411 block, which we have discussed last week. I can show it to you quickly and then we can move ahead. So if you will go to the block 943411, if you see here and if you will see this is mined by a solo CK pool guy. And let me see if I have the status for, or you can see that. So that, see there, so if you want to see which pool he was using. He was using solo CK pool, right? And if you will go there, you will got to know maybe they are not running a bigger machine. So big machines, they might be only contributing 70 terahertz per second. And there are so many big players who are contributing 10,000 terahertz per second. Maybe they were not able to mine that specific block, and this lucky guy was able to mine it with less hash rate. So that is even possible. And the same thing we will just verify it with this article as well. So in this article, he has checked all the blocks from the Genesis block. So how many blocks has been already mined? So if you will see, the latest is 946066, but if that is a little old article, so you are seeing 943543. And in this, if you will see the highest difficulty ever. So once I'm saying highest difficulty ever, how you can check it? Just click here, and for rough being, you can just calculate the number of zeros. How many numbers of zero is there? Okay, so this is the recently mined block from Antmool, just 4 minutes ago. I will just count words, so it would be easy for me. I will write it here, so you can see 19 zeros are there in this latest block, right? But there was a block mined in October 4, 2022. That block was 756951. If I will click here, you can directly go to that block, or you can just search the number and you can also move it here. That was mined by btc.com. And can you just count the number of zeros they have? That was mined in 2022. So if I will just count the number of zero, maybe I will paste it here. Can you see how many? 24 zeros. That means even right now we have a 19 zero is a minimum requirement. Like if I will tell you the passing marks to pass an exam is 35%, and you got marks more than 100%, maybe 1000% or 4000%. So this is what the btc.com did on October 2022. Because if you will compare from 19 to 20, 19 to 24, right? That many zeros multiply by 16, 16, 16, 16. So that time to in 2022, he was able to mine a block that is the highest complex block ever till now. Because that time the difficulty was also less in 2022. The network difficulty itself was 31.36 terahash. Okay. And in this case, it was, they have calculated, it was more than 1000 means what he was able to mine a block that difficulty is in exahash, if you can see it here. Okay. So the network difficulty was in terahash, and he was able to mine a block which is 15. So even this block he mined in 2026 or 2027 as well. Then also the block was valid, because this is the highest tier difficulty, which is right now far more than the current difficulty criteria at the moment. Okay. So there are two blocks. One is 756951, and there is another one I forgot. That also was able to get 23 characters of zero, which is far more complex with the current difficulty. Once I'm saying far, that is more than, I cannot even imagine it would be more than, I need to even use the calculator for that. I think it would be more than 60,000 or 70,000. I'm not sure. I just need to divide it and see. But it is more than 60,000 more complex with the current difficulty level. Okay. So if someone can do it, why? Because this is not a complex algorithm. This is a hit and trial case. Maybe he was able to find a nonce or the combination of the block header, which gave him that very good hash, which has a highest difficulty in passing those criteria. Okay, it is possible. You will able to find it in one iteration. Someone may be not able to find it in 10,000 iterations. So it may happen because these things, the Merkle root, the timestamp we keep in changing, the nonce you is the variable which you can adjust. So these things will keep changing, and if you will get a valid hash more than the current difficulty level, you will get the reward. Okay. So this was the highest share difficulty ever. That's 756951. Moving ahead, even see, he is also discussing the same thing which I have mentioned it here. If you calculate the zeros, those are 24 hex zeros because this is hex. And only two blocks. Yes, as I mentioned, I forgot what was the block number, but I think it should be mentioned somewhere below. That has 23. Yes, so I think the block was 843946. So the highest block over time was 24 zeros, which is in October 2022, which is the block number is 756951. And if you want to check this, you can also check this 843946. How you can check it? You can come here and 843946. I just type it here 843946. Correct. If I will just press enter, that was mined by Antpool. And if I will copy this hash, move here, will remove, so you can see it has 23 zeros. Okay. So these are the all-time highest block, which is which is sharing the difficulty, the highest difficulty. And these were the difficulties getting increased. So if you will see, the sheer difficulty was very, very less in these days. And the highest sheer difficulty was something around in November 2025. If you will see here, because here you will not able to see, but if you check the graph, you will find it out. The highest difficulty of Bitcoin mining was around November 2025, and then because the difficulty reduced little bit, so right now that was the highest right now. Okay. Now, as we have discussed about difficulties, you can see they have mentioned how much was the median shared difficulty for the blocks in year. Okay. So if you will see in 2025 and 2026, and these are the all-time highest shared difficulty. So yes, as I was not able to calculate, it was in exahash, and the exact is 50.54 exahash. Means, see, the require to get a valid block, you just need a difficulty of 31.36 terahash during 2022 October. But what he was able to find is exahash, and that itself is 15.54. So the ratio is very huge. You can see it here. Then the same way, another one, then another one, then another one. You can see about all 10 all-time highest share difficulty blocks. Now, we have discussed about the highest difficulty till now, right? But there should be some block which just pass the criteria. Like if you need 35% to pass the exam and you just got exact 35.01% to pass the exam. So that is also happening because in Bitcoin mining, it doesn't matter whether you got 100% or you got 35.01%. The reward would be same for everyone. So either you receive the difficulty just above the difficulty level or the target difficulty, or you got 100 times more than the target difficulty, the rewards price would be the same. Okay. Now, here, if you will see, the margin was very, very small. See, in 2025, September, when the difficulty, the network difficulty also got in 142 terahash, that time one block was mined which has a margin of 0.0000013, means 35% you need, and you got a percentage 30.50000133%. So you pass the exam, the block is valid, and you receive the whole reward of 3.125 BTC along with the transaction collection what has been done. Okay, so you can see the margin was 0.000113, even 0.000297, which is in 2016. That means in 2022, you will be able to find a top 10. That margin is very like after three zeros in after decimal, right? Then you are able to mine a block successfully. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you are using hundreds of big machines to mine a block. Maybe you are using 100 of them and I'm just using 10 of them. Maybe if I'm lucky enough, I may able to mine a block before your 100 devices. So it may happen. So if you will see this graph, I hope it should be visible for everyone. So this was the highest zeros, and this was the second highest zeros. And if you will see here, the lowest zero will always be in 2009 and 10. Why? Because that time the difficulty was very less. So the valid block will always be having very less number of zeros. So that's why here you will see all the less number of zero, then keep it's growing, growing, going because the difficulty will keep increasing year over year. But these were the guys who were able to reach the highest difficulty level, even the criteria was less. Okay, you can see it here, the same thing which we have discussed. This was having 24 zeros. I think this is having 23. Then maybe I think it should be having, you can calculate, it should be less than this and then less than this, then less than this. Okay. And these are all mostly in 2024-25. But this, the highest one itself in 2022. And right now, no one able to break the record till now who were able to mine a block. So why I'm trying to convey this again and again, because it is not happening that in 2022 they were having a higher machines and now in 2026 we don't have a higher machine. We have a more better machines and more quantity of machines which he might be using in 2022, but that always does not matter. The more machine you have does not mean you will able to get the highest difficulty. Okay, so this is also a trial and error and luck. kind of thing. Okay. Now, here it is mentioning how many leading zeros were there in all percentage of the block. So you might be thinking, okay, the minimum requirement itself is not 8. Why we have 5% of valid block? Because those blocks would get mined during 2010, 11, 12 in these era when the difficulty was very, very less. Okay. Now the difficulties keep increasing, and people started doing mining seriously. Maybe these days, that's why you will see more and more, and that will increase the difficulty, and it keeps increasing, and now you can see 24 because that only two blocks which were able to mine in certain range. That's why it is only 0. So you can see there are some blocks which is able to some miner who were able to mine a block with difficulty 23, which is not even a minimum requirement right now. There are 22 zeros which has 252 blocks, 21 4220 blocks, 20 which is not, because right now you just need 19, right? Then also 68,268 blocks has been mined, which contains 20 zeros ahead. Okay. So this is the whole analysis of mempool.space. How many blocks has been mined? What are the difficulty criteria? Which one is the highest difficult block has been mined till yet? And what are the growth factors, all those things, median share difficulty right now. And you can see in 2009, the median share difficulty was just 2.01. Can you see now it's 283 trillion? The same here. So this is the whole article. I like the whole detailed analysis. So we have seen some of the blocks mined with the highest difficulty factor, which is even if the block has not been mined in 2022 and the same block you mine it right now, that is still valid because it is still far, far better than the current difficulty level. Yeah, so that's all about this article about Bitcoin block records. If anyone has any question, any queries regarding this article, I will be sharing the link in this mining group. And along, everyone is aware of mempool.space, but this link I will also share it in the group because a few people who have recently joined, they can also go through it, mempool space, understand a little bit, and in the next session, I will try to cover more basics about how actually mining and these things works. So we'll get a better understanding that time. And definitely, if any question in the meantime after this call itself, while you are going to the mempool.space, you can always feel free to ping on the mining group. And if any personal doubt you don't want to share, you can also ping me. But whenever I would be available, I will revert you back. And otherwise, you can always join the mining club every Tuesday, 8 p.m. IST. And you can ask every initial call, and after the call, you can ask all your doubts anytime. So, yeah, feel free to ask anyone has any question or any doubts. If no, then yeah, we are good.